right now in downtown Springfield.
Hollywood Trash is brought to you by Western Mass Masons. Call them for all your foundation and chimney needs.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So, from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
After 14 years, the buzz is back.
What buzz is this now?
The first Harold and Kumar movie since 2011 is in the works. John Cho and Kal Penn are coming back. There's no word on Neil Patrick Harris, but it's hard to imagine a new installment without him.
Well, that's the damn truth, isn't it?
This will be the fourth Harold and Kumar movie following, however, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle in 2004, Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay in 2008, and a very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas back in 2011. I didn't realize that movie was so popular it required more than one sequel.
After the trip to White Castle, I was pretty much done with the whole series.
The creative team behind the movie is John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, and Josh Heald, the creators of Cobra Kai. Hurwitz and Schlossberg also wrote the other three Harold and Kumar movies. Well, you got to bring back the original.
What do you think prompts a whole bunch of people to say, you know what this world could really use right now? The healing qualities of another Harry and Kumar movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we keep doing this with the. I guess people just are used to nostalgia. Now you have a whole generation of people that grew up with those movies, and now they want to see those again. Apparently,
we've said before, but it appears as though like Hollywood has run out of good ideas.
Yeah. But
when your last 2 or 3 ideas have not been that great, does a fourth idea make it any better?
I don't think it does. I really don't. From 1969 to around 2010, there were probably close to a dozen ways the average person could come into contact with Ozzy Osbourne's DNA. Then age and various ailments clogged that faucet. But 10 lucky people are getting fresh batches of Ozzy's genetic material thanks to Liquid Death. The water?
Yeah.
They put 10 empty iced tea cans up for sale that were consumed by Ozzy himself. They were guaranteed to contain trace amounts of Ozzy's DNA and came in a container autographed by him personally. They cost $450 each, and not surprisingly, they all sold out. Immediately.
Now, they're empty cans, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, they're empty
finish
cans.
the water.
Right. Ozzy isn't afraid of what the buyers might do with his DNA either. He says, "Clone me, you bastards."
Oh, that Ozzy's too much.
How much money do you have to just freely spend? That $450 on an empty can that somebody drank out of is something you'd want to do.
Well, I mean, if you're a big Ozzy fan or a big Black Sabbath fan, I can see maybe coughing up $20.
Even then, I mean, who's your favorite? All right, let's say, Brian Wilson. Let's just say Brian Wilson. Somebody's on eBay selling, here's a can of Tab Brian Wilson drank in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
It still probably has traces of his DNA on it. How much would you be willing to spend on that? Now, only the exclusive offer to you, Bax.
Well, you're going to find this hard to believe, Steve, but I probably would not spend $400.
That's what I'm talking about.
Even for that.
How much would you spend? $10?
No, probably about the same exact cost of a can of Tab.
85 cents.
85 cents seems like a good deal to me.
You're still paying 1986 prices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I believe was the last time the Tab was actually available.
Yeah. Here's the dumb name Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly gave their baby. His real name, by the way, is Colson Baker. It's not. His parents didn't name him Machine Gun.
You sure about that?
Yeah. They revealed the name yesterday. It's Saga Blade Fox Baker.
They should have gone with Machine Gun Jr.
I would have thought that would have been a lot better. He put the baby's name in the caption of the video where he's playing music for her on a ukulele. He also said, "Thank you for the ultimate gift, Megan Fox." Back when Saga Blade was born, she's finally here, our little celestial seed, which is what most newborn parents refer to as
the oops baby.
Yeah. And Some people actually thought Celestial Seed was the baby's name, but if you compare the two, Celestial Seed Fox Baker is no more ridiculous than Saga Blade.
You don't want to give a kid a name that's going to get him beat up on the schoolyard.
Yeah.
No one's going to mess with a kid named Machine Gun.
No.
They are going to mess with a kid named Saga.
Or Slade.
Slade's a little bit tougher, but...
even Celestial Seed.
I know. I just happen to know a few things named Saga.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't name your kid after it. You wouldn't love this company so much that you'd name your... It would be like Pat Kelly naming one of his kids Rock 102.
How do we know he hasn't?
Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family has a criminal past. He's a reformed porn thief. When he was 14 or 15, he got caught trying to steal a porn magazine from a store. He says, quote, "I just felt like at the time of my life you weren't giving me a lot of choices."
Well, I mean, some of that stuff was expensive back then.
He adds, quote, "I do feel bad about it, but I want everyone to be clear before I go into heaven that I didn't want to be a criminal." Unfortunately, the collar couldn't have been more obvious. Jesse says there was a sensor in the magazine and it set off a metal detector. That almost killed me. I almost died right then and there. Because I had a heart attack knowing I had porn under my shirt and the metal detector was going. That is kind of one of the embarrassing. It's not like you're taking a pea coat.
No. And you're
really
watching
a magazine with pea coats.
But to not have your strip demagnetized on the way. What an embarrassment.
Tyler Perry is being sued for sexual harassment and assault by a man who appeared on some of his TV shows.
And so is Tyler Perry.
And Tyler Perry. He wants $260 million. Perry's attorney calls it a scam. And let's see. Masked bands are back on the rise, with Ghost and Sleep Token both having #1 albums this year.
Mm-hmm.
Masked bands.
Yeah, you don't know what they look like.
Kim Kardashian's daughter gifted her a Skibbity toilet necklace.
Really?
Yeah.
She must have something to say.
Oh my God, the last time I had anything studded, it was a diamond encrusted. Diamond encrusted like this was when Ray J looped my esophagus in that legendary sex tape that you could purchase on YouPorn for $39.95.
Okay.
I never saw that much bling in a bathroom use since Paris Hilton's bidet shot fireworks on Bastille Day.
You don't want to be sitting down for that.
Right.
Caitlin?
Well, I never got that down and dirty with her mother, Chris Kim, but she used to say she wanted a man who could unclog her dreams. I showed up with a plunger and a can of Crisco. I was tuning her front harp like a horny Geppetto on Adderall. She kept yelling, "It's not even my birthday." And I said, "Exactly. It's mine now."
What are you trying to say?
Well, Bax, it reminded me of the time Don Johnson and I stopped at a Bahama Breeze and he dared me to eat oysters off Tawny Katane's lower lumbar. She got so excited she did a back bend on a valet stand and accidentally popped the gear shift off Don's Pontiac Fiero with her coconuts. Now, luckily, the hostess was a retired EMT and used the dessert menu to stabilize her pelvis while Don tried to buff out the cleavage marks with a cocktail napkin. He cried for a week. That car was a limited edition, just like his dignity.
His dignity?
Dignity.
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 Okay, just checking.
And that is your Hollywood Trash on Rock 102.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, your grilling destination. Weber, Big Green Egg, Uni Pizza Ovens, and Traeger Wood-Fired Grills.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Well, folks, great news. Brad Marchand has just won his second Stanley Cup championship. First time was 14 years ago with the Bruins. This time he won while playing for the very team that bounced the Bruins out of the playoffs 2 years in a row. Not this season, of course. That would have required the Bruins to have reached the postseason, which, of course, they did not, especially after trading Brad Marchand for a conditional second-round draft pick and 50% of the remaining portion of his contract. And yet, what did Brad Marchand do for the Florida Panthers? He scored 10 goals, 10 assists in 23 games, including 6 goals that he scored in the 6 games in the finals, including 2 game winners, as the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup in 6 games over Edmonton with a final score of 5-1. What did the Bruins do this week? I'll tell you what they did. Nothing. Nothing except wonder how the Red Sox could have traded away a monumental talent like Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants for very little in return. I'm sure the Bruins were as stunned by that news as everybody else. I mean, can you imagine Trading away one of your most popular players to a better team and getting nearly nothing in return for it? I can't imagine how something like that could happen. And I'm sure Bruins general manager Don Sweeney couldn't imagine doing something that stupid either. But hey, why compare apples to oranges? I'd much rather congratulate Brad Marchand for getting his name in the Stanley Cup not once but twice during his outstanding career. It's just a shame that it had to be with the Florida Panthers. You know, a well-run organization with an exceptionally talented and dedicated front office staff that's committed to winning championships in back-to-back seasons. A team that's willing to bolster its roster by completing lopsided trades with teams that are too stupid to know any better. Not that I'm naming any names, but I'm pretty sure that most of you know who I might be talking about. And I'm pretty sure that name rhymes with the Boston Bruins. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. Get a DeWalt tungsten carbide tip circular saw blade, $20. Get a DeWalt black and gold high-speed steel point drill bit set, $20 also. It's Rocky's $20 drill bit and saw blade sale. DeWalt bits and blades, $20 at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield.
And Aerosmith with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be rainy today with a high of 76. Tomorrow, rainy with a high of 89. It is 63 right now in downtown Springfield.
Before we get into the next item on the menu, or the first item on the menu, is there something going on tomorrow night?
Yeah, there's a $20 dinner and a comedy show at the Shortstop Bar and Grill. Actually, we've got quite a few people already signed up for it. So, if you want those tickets, you can go to my social media page and find the QR code, or you can just Venmo at Nagle Comedy, or you can send me a message and you can go to that. Show starts at 8:00.
But you might want to step things up because it could be a busy night.
That's right.
All right.
That is absolutely right.
Now, are we having a guest in here today that may talk about something like this?
We could have this guy named Marty Caproni coming in here.
I'm not aware of his work.
I don't know. I've never heard of the guy.
Well, maybe he'll work out.
Yeah, maybe he will. I'm watching this whole thing go down with the Karen Reed trial, and I'm not going to get into like the logistics of the evidence and all that stuff, but the jury has been deliberating now since Monday. They got the case on Friday afternoon. It was too late to do anything, but then the jury gets the case and they're deliberating, and then they come back with questions yesterday that I'm like, is this just a bunch of dumb people getting together and asking stupid questions?
When I was getting the notifications for this yesterday, I was trying to read along and trying to understand what exactly the issue was, what they were asking for. And, if I'm confused by what they're asking for, I'm sure the jury must be more confused, because it sounds like what they're asking for are more options. It's like, all right, there's guilty, there's not guilty, and there's guilty with questions.
But there's multiple charges on the slip. And I don't remember exactly, like, if they have to convict. I don't think they have to convict on all of them or none of them, or whatever the deal is. But I'll just read this part. Jury deliberations in the trial of Karen Reed will continue this morning after an eventful day Tuesday that saw jurors send 4 notes to the presiding judge. They sent a note.
You got a note from their foreman.
The jury has had the case for about 16 hours across the 3 days. Before sending the jury home on Tuesday, Judge Beverly Cannoni said, "We know you've all been working very hard. We appreciate it. Deliberations will resume 9 a.m. this morning. Jurors can deliberate for as long as needed to reach a unanimous verdict." On Tuesday, the jury sent questions to Cannoni asking about the verdict slip and what would lead to a hung jury. The 45-year-old Reed is charged with second-degree murder and blah, 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 blah. But I'm trying to find – hold on a second, because Mass Live is really not that great when it comes to –
You don't say.
Right. But they asked a question like, is the videos clips that we saw during the trial evidence?
Well,
You've been on a jury for 8 weeks and you don't know that what you've seen is evidence?
yeah,
Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
If it wasn't evidence, they wouldn't have allowed it to be presented in the trial. So, yes, that's evidence.
How much faith does that give you in the judicial system?
Well, this is a jury of her peers.
But that was another thing. I'm watching this other guy on YouTube, and he was talking about how young the jury makeup is. And the problem with that you run into something like that, especially now with the advancement of technology and people like not even paying attention to things.
Right.
They want, like, a younger jury wants hard evidence. They want to see the video of it actually happening because that's their generation of people that want to see that. And they're not going to get that. There is no video of the incident.
Well, so here's the thing. Remember last week, I think I predicted that the outcome of this trial will be a retrial at the taxpayer expense.
And that's probably exactly what's going to happen.
I think that's they are going to rentala this thing again. And, of course, the state will retry it one more time. I think the state's just going to continue to do this until they put her away somehow. And but at this point, it's looking like they're not going to go very far with this.
The jury of 7 women and 5 men sent 4 questions to the judge on Tuesday. One of the questions asked about a mistrial. If we find not guilty on 2 charges but can't agree on 1 charge, is a hung jury on all 3 charges or just 1 charge? Judge Beverly Cannoni said she ruled that she would tell the jury that question was theoretical and could not be answered. The defense objected and wanted the judge to say the question cannot be answered at this time. The defense has said several jurors from the first trial came forward and said the jury was set to acquit Reed of 2 charges, but deadlocked on a 3rd, leading to a mistrial. It's the same thing is happening in this trial as it did in the first one.
Right.
And like you just said, that's what's going to happen. They're going to probably be deadlocked on something. And because you're not going to be, if they're asking questions like this, they're clearly having a difference in opinion of what happened.
Well, see, what I don't know is, I haven't been following it so close that I listened to all the jury instructions about, what charges they need to consider. I've been following along, but kind of from a distance. And I think sometimes the way these things are structured are sometimes meant to confuse the jury. Mm-hmm. So that they do get a mistrial, or they are confused by what they're trying to figure out. I think some ways it's kind of tactical. In the same way that putting together a jury with a particular makeup is also tactical. Every bit of this is strategic. So I think it would be not out of the ordinary for the jury to be confused from the very beginning.
Jurors indicated mid-morning they had 3 questions. What is the time frame for the OUI charge? OUI at 12:45 or OUI at 5 a.m.? Okay. Are video clips of Karen's interviews evidence? That, to me, is the dumbest question, and it makes me wonder if the jury is almost tainted in a way, where you have this guy on this YouTube was talking about how, this younger generation wants, it's a generation of true crime documentaries, and it's always this, well, but what if? But what if? You're not looking at the hard evidence that they have.
You're trying to fill in the holes.
You're trying to fill in all of the holes, and reasonable doubt doesn't need to be, some one-off thing. And you don't have to have...
Well, reasonable doubt can mean anything. If you're not convinced by what's been presented to you in court, or there's alternatives, possibilities here, that's good enough for reasonable doubt.
And then the other question was, does convicting guilty on a subcharge, example offense 2, number 5, convict the overall charge?
Yes,
but those questions are like, where have you been? the last 8 weeks.
See, this is what I'm so confused by. It's like, okay, I understand that the jury may not be clear on certain things. Questions from a jury are not that unusual. But the questions they're asking almost sounds like, were these people paying attention at all? I mean, if someone's presented in court, it's evidence.
Right.
If it's not going to be allowed in court because of whatever reason, then it's not evidence.
And there was jurors from the first trial that came forward and said, like, because of that. And again, I'm not like, all the players in this whole thing are pieces of crap. From the investigative side, because that was the whole thing with the state police. That Michael Proctor with the leaky balloon knot and all the stuff that he was saying about it. They're saying that, like, there's women out there that are like, I don't care what happened, but that guy's words would influence me to do a not guilty just for the sole fact that he was talking that way in a thing. Even though there might be hard evidence that she backed into this guy, there's still people out there that'd be like, nope, because that guy was prejudiced against. Right.
Right.
So I don't understand how you even find a jury that's not biased in any way, and to step back and look to go, okay, yeah, you do have this nefarious, weird stuff going on here, but you also have this hard evidence of data and whatnot.
Especially a jury that's not biased after going through a year of the first trial, and then datelines, and then documentaries, and everything else has been written about this trial.
And with the access to electronics, have you not seen anything about this case?
It's 6:24 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's the 4th of July.
It's 6:27 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Liam Neeson has the full forecast for you.
Real quick. Pat Kelly and the Road Crew this Friday, 7 to 9 at the Plaza at MGM Springfield. Free Music Friday. This week it's going to be Cathedral. The Van Halen tribute. They take the stage around 7:30. Pat's going to be there around 7. Quench your thirst with refreshing frosty cold beverages at the Plaza Bar, or craft beer from White Lion Brewing. Plus delicious bites from Grok This Way and other offerings from various local food trucks. It's Free Music Friday. It's going to be a great night this week at MGM with Pat and the Road Crew from Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
All right, you ready to laugh?
I'm ready to laugh.
Let's laugh.
It's Bax and Nagle's Joke of the Day.
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
On Rock 102.
I make you laugh.
Springfield's Classic Rock.
All right, so 3 vampire brothers hold a competition.
Vampire Brothers.
Suspensive disbelief, Bax.
Okay.
Come on. The first brother, who's the strongest, said, watch this. And he takes off at nearly 100 miles an hour. 2 minutes later, he returns, his mouth covered in blood. What happened? His brothers said. Well, you see that mansion over there? And they said, yeah. Well, I went over there and sucked each and every last family member dry. They're all dead. And wow, his brothers say, as expected, you are the strongest. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The second brother, is the oldest. Watch and learn, boys. And he takes off even quicker at 150 miles an hour. 5 minutes later, he returns. Both his mouth and neck are covered in blood. What happened? His brother said. Well, you see that village over there? Yeah. Well, I went over there and killed every last person in that entire village. There's not one left alive. Wow. His brother saying, as expected, you are the oldest, and you have the most experience, right? And the third brother, who is the fastest, not to be outdone, says, watch this, and don't blink or you might miss it. He flies off faster than the rest of them, going at least 200 miles an hour. In only 10 seconds, he returns. His entire mouth, nose, and neck are covered in so much blood, stains down the front of his shirt. What happened? His brother said. And he goes, well, you see that giant tree over there? And they say, yeah. And he goes, well, I didn't. Is he? Because he hit the tree. Yeah, he hit the tree. Yeah. See? Yeah. Vampire jokes.
Bax and Nagle in the morning on Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
6:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by, hold on a second. Yes, Freedom Credit Union. Freedom is yours. Your local radio icon, Steve Nagle.
I don't know if I should trust somebody coming from a copyright scofflaw.
Come on. Really?
I was just talking to you about the TikTok videos that we make. You know,
Yes.
the 3,000 that we have to put out every single day because we are blended everywhere. So your video got flagged, the Joey Chestnut video.
I didn't even realize it got flagged. I'm glad you sent something because I had no idea. Apparently, so I did a video about Joey Chestnut heroically coming back to the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Yeah.
He was banned for accepting an endorsement from Impossible Foods, which is plant-based, vegan friendly. Anyway, apparently TikTok had a problem with the fact that I superimposed a picture of Joey and hot dogs. A Nathan hot dog. Anyway,
you snake.
I am
you vile human being.
what did I do to deserve this?
See, this
did I ruin the fun for everybody?
You must have.
Oh my God.
Well, I told you, with my thing, I wound up calling a scammer a slut.
Yeah, right.
Just because I'm like, I don't want to deal with this scammer, and she's, and it's probably not even a she. It's probably some dude.
You can be a slut and be a dude at the same time.
You can?
Yes, you can.
All right. Well, either way, I wrote back, and then that slut reported me.
What a slut.
And yeah, really. And then I was banned from sending messages for the last 2 months.
Right.
And now I can freely send messages. I still have an account ban warning, so my account may still be banned at some point.
Boy.
But,
so I'm gonna have to. So should I remove the video?
No. The video stays. It just won't be suggested to other people. That's what it says.
This is a rip.
It is a rip, and it's like, well, who would have thought the Chinese government would have so many rules?
Yeah, normally they're such a easygoing society.
Yeah,
You'd
they're
think
very free, and they're all about free speech and whatnot.
I can't imagine why there would ever be a problem, but apparently they got a big problem.
So now the video is still there. It won't be shown to other people.
But yet, it's still got as many views as everybody else got, which I don't really understand. Although I will say your travelogue series around Western Massachusetts is gaining some steam.
Which I don't understand that. They're no more better than any of the stupid things that I put out on a regular basis.
Oh, no, Steve. I think when you talk about Cummington, people want to know more.
I didn't talk about Cummington. We don't talk about Cummington. That's what I said in the video. I said what stains in the hill towns stays in the hill towns.
All right. Well, I'll have to step up my game and produce something to make everybody happy, including the Chinese government.
Well, good luck with all that. Summer officially begins on Friday, and temperatures are expected to rise, potentially leading to a heat wave next week with temperatures in the mid to upper 90s for several days. Because that's exactly what we wanted around here.
That's all we need.
Well,
a lot of steam, a lot of fog, a lot of heat.
While temperatures were not very warm yesterday, with mainly only being in the 60s and 70s, the official start to summer is only 3 days away. Summer officially begins on June 20th, and the first potential heat wave is expected to be heading into next week. According to Climate Central, from 1970 to 2024, the summer season has warmed very fast and continues to do so. In a nearly 55-year time frame, the average summer days with above-average high temperatures in Springfield has risen by 11 days.
Well, no, yesterday you weren't here blowing a hole in the ozone.
No, I wasn't blowing any holes in the ozone.
You did. You left something behind you.
I did? Oh, when I came in here this morning?
Yesterday.
Morning?
It was yesterday.
Well.
You apologized. You grabbed the Glade. You let it go. But
Well,
I'm pretty sure that ripped a whole giant hole in the upper atmosphere.
That's why we have the Glade.
I thought it was to mask the smell of death in the building.
Well, there's that, too. Well, when we get our new building, things like this won't happen.
I'll be holding my breath even harder than I do right now.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think so?
Well, we were told that ground was going to be broken in the spring, and now summer is only 3 days away. So maybe it's the summer. Maybe we'll keep pushing it off.
I'm sure we've got enough gift cards from Rocky's Ace Hardware to get ourselves a shovel and start digging around the backyard.
Maybe the East Longmeadow Planning Board is kind of like the Karen Reed jury. I'm confused on what this request is. Now, what do you mean you want to put a new building here? What's wrong with the old building?
You want to put a new building on land you own?
Yeah.
I understand a new
Yes.
building, but all this gobbledygook about rebuilding.
I have no idea what you're talking about. 4 suspects were arrested in connection with a drug distribution operation in the seizure of 11 illegal firearms. Guns can have seizures?
I don't know. It's a different kind of seizure.
Is that an epileptic 15?
I'd like to see you take that to the range.
The Springfield Police Department states, yeah, it's all like dance music with flashy lights. The Springfield Police Department states that over the past several months, detectives assigned to the Firearms Investigation Unit, or the FIU,
Hey, watch your mouth.
have been investigating a drug distribution operation with 33-year-old Michael Panicki of Springfield as the main target. Or Pinckney. A search warrant was applied for and granted to the detectives for 2 apartments on the 0100 block of Fort Pleasant Avenue. On Friday around 1:15 p.m., detectives were conducting surveillance when they saw Pinckney go into an apartment. As the detectives and officers were about to execute the search warrants, they saw Pinckney leaving the apartment. He was then detained and arrested after 90 bags of heroin were found on him. So they saw him twice, and then they threw him in jail. That's 2 of the Pinckney and 1 in the Clinkney. Shocker!
It is quite a shocker. Yeah. That is a shocker.
You ever have 2 in the Pinckney and 1 in the Clinkney? Inside one of the apartments.
That's the only reason you did the story, isn't it?
No, you know what? I just made that up. This is the first time I'm reading this story.
Wow!
Hot off the presses from 22 News.
Wow, this really is a rip and read miracle.
It is. Inside one of the apartments, officers detained 28-year-old Mercedes Wright of Northampton. Inside the second apartment, officers detained 26-year-old Stephanie Palura of Springfield and a 17-year-old juvenile. The name, booking photo, and specific charges with the juvenile will not be released because of his age. As detectives were searching the apartments, 8 illegal firearms and 6 additional magazines were found. Highlights, People, Us Weekly.
Yeah.
Over $2,200 in cash, cocaine, a stun gun, more than 260 bags of heroin, and more than 70 loose rounds of ammunition were also found. Out of all the 6 firearm magazines seized, 1 was a 50-round drum and the other one was a 30-round rifle magazine, and 2 additional ones were capable of holding 15 rounds. A ghost gun with a Glock switch, making the firearm fully automatic machine gun loaded with 17 rounds of ammunition.
You know, it's funny. So often we complain that we don't get enough information about in certain news stories.
This is too much.
This is almost too much information. I can't even write it down.
You know why? Because they didn't write it. This was given to them by Ryan Walsh.
Oh, and he wrote it out.
He wrote the whole thing out.
So they just cut and pasted that part into the story.
You take the whole police report, you throw it into online press release, and then they just copy and paste.
Well, that's the easy way to do it,
isn't it? Well, I mean, if you're gonna put out information, you might as well put it all out there.
Yeah, but we're not used to that anymore. We used to be used to that, but now we're no longer used to any of that.
Bay State lawmakers heard testimony on a range of domestic violence and sexual assault bills on Tuesday, including one to strengthen laws on upskirting, the act of taking photos or videos underneath someone's clothing without their knowledge or consent. Lawmakers have worked on upskirting legislation before. In just 48 hours in 2014, the State House passed a bill criminalizing upskirting. This bill, however, did not include provisions against upskirting in bathrooms, locker rooms, or private residences. Why would that not be included?
Seems to me it should be included everywhere.
A Great Barrington representative is pushing to update the law, and she says time is of the essence. Right now, someone can secretly record your nudity or a child's nudity in a bathroom, locker room, and at home, and he may only face a fine, said Representative Lee Davis. The legislation hits home in the Berkshires, where a Williams College student was indicted with 16 counts of electronic recording or surveillance of nude or partially nude persons after allegedly filming 16 victims in the school's locker room. The Berkshire DA explained the locker rooms are not covered in previous upskirting legislation, and he's only able to charge the student with a misdemeanor.
Okay.
These when these idiots get together and they make these laws, you think that would be the most logical thing to put in there. A misdemeanor might be somewhere where you're out in public, let's say. Mm-hmm. That might be because then the charge gets convoluted. Was the guy just using his phone out in public, or was he actually trying to do something nefarious with it? I can see that line being kind of shaded and not knowing, where you might have some sort of discrepancy with the law. But when you're in a private bathroom or a locker room, why would that not be included in the original legislation?
If you're being recorded against your will, then especially in situations like that, yeah, it should be included. But you know how the law goes. When laws are written, they're often written with a lot of ambiguity because there are certain things that may come up that they're not even considering when they're writing the law. But that thing should have been considered.
I thought it was ambiguity.
No, it's ambiguity,
well,
Steve.
Maybe that's why I don't read the laws very well.
Maybe that's the reason why you call it the Appalachian Trail.
I can't believe how many people are so upset about that.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing. I just pissed off the Chinese government by having the Nathan Hot Dog logo on a video.
Let's talk about that in a minute. It's going to be rainy today with a high of 76. Tomorrow, more rain with a high of 89. It's 65 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Don't spin.
102 Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:54, and the Rolling Stones on Rock 102.
Rain all day today and all day tomorrow. 76 for a high today, 89 for a high tomorrow. It's 65 right now in downtown Springfield.
And a remarkable change of pace. Comedian Marty Caproni is in the studio. Good to see you.
Good to see you. What's up, fellas?
Never heard of you before.
Now, what brings you out here today?
I was in East Longmeadow, so I just figured I'd drop in,
Oh, yeah, because everything's open at 6:54 in the morning.
Well, tomorrow night at the Shortstop Bar and Grill.
Shortstop Bar and Grill tomorrow night. I will be there.
$20 dinner and a comedy show.
Best deal in Western Mass, really.
I would say so.
And looking forward to it. Sounds like you got a lot of people coming, and you were just telling me some
numbers. But we could always use more.
Yeah, well, then if people are listening, they should buy some tickets and come out to the show, get dinner. Why cook? Laugh.
That's right, and we have Lee Syatt closing out the show tomorrow night, who's kind of a popular dude.
Lee is awesome. For those that listen to Joe Rogan's podcast or whatever, they know of a guy named Joey Coco Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee has a podcast with Joey Diaz called The Check-In. So he's very well known. I think he's into six figures now on Instagram for his followers and all that stuff.
Oh, great.
Wow.
I'm giving all my money to Rock 102 for my viral videos.
Yeah, I'm getting flagged with my videos. I didn't know what
heard
that's
that.
all about.
I was wondering if you got flagged because you put wieners in the video.
I think it's because I put that wiener on the video.
They can tell the specific wiener that you put out there?
Well, here's what I've found out about TikTok is there's no person doing this.
Right, it's just a computer.
And all it takes is for one other person to flag something, and then the AI model that TikTok uses to police everything automatically just cuts it right out. This is how I got banned from messaging for the last 2 months. Up until yesterday, I'm out of TikTok jail. I can actually send a message to you now.
So you couldn't message on TikTok at all?
No, people were sending me messages. I'll never get them. If anybody ever sent me a message over the last 2 months, I couldn't get them. I also couldn't send any because I called a scammer a slut.
What?
There was a scam. It was one of those scam emails. Hey, handsome, how you doing?
Yeah.
And I wrote, "What's up, slut?"
And that was
because
that was enough.
I knew it was a scam, and that was enough for the scammer to then report me, and then my account gets locked out for 2 months. Even though I've did multiple appeals through the TikTok app, they don't care because there's not one person. There's no person looking at it.
So you offended some guy in Pakistan who's sitting in a cubicle.
Yeah.
Some guy's like, "Hi, I'm Sarah."
How dare he call me a slut?
If you consider the very possibility that maybe this wasn't a scam, maybe there was an actual person, some young lady is like, well,
I know I missed my opportunity.
That's a real big snack. This Steve Nagle. I'm going to reach out and say, hello, handsome. The next thing you know, you're calling her a slut.
Well, again, the trigger of me thinking it's a scam was when she called me handsome. Hey, handsome.
See, that's some internal stuff, Steve, with you. I don't want to go back to your childhood, but, that's some...
Well, it's kind of like this dude I know years ago.
You're a handsome guy. Maybe she was just being nice. Maybe she was saying you looked handsome.
This dude I know used to go to the 418 all the time on every Sunday because he thought that the dancer was into him. And I said, have you seen her outside of the club? No, she's too busy. She's a single mom. And
school?
Yeah,
She's
he goes,
medical school?
But, the only time I can see her is Sunday afternoon.
She's not allowed to see sunlight.
Right.
Sunday afternoon at the 418, she must have been a looker.
Oh, yeah, she was hot. She was hot to trot.
I used to go there in my 20s with my friends as a joke. We used to, we'd call it Dollar Wars. Yeah. So we would go, and it was always like poker on the way there. You got money? I got a little bit. Meanwhile, you'd have $200 in ones in your pockets, all balled up. And what we would do is we'd never put the bills in front of ourselves. You do it in front of your friends, and then the first one to get up and leave lost. So it was like a survival game. And I'm competitive, so I gave more money to some 58-year-old Vietnamese lady who was missing 3 fingers than you can imagine at the 418.
It's 6:59. We'll have more with Marty in just a little bit of Rock 102.
Hey, it's...
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, your grilling destination. Weber, Big Green Egg, Uni Pizza Ovens, and Traeger Wood-Fired Grills.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, while the Red Sox are busy getting thrashed by the Seattle Mariners yesterday in an 8-0 shutout, thereby abruptly ending their 6-game winning streak, I could not help but notice that Rafael Devers, who was just traded to San Francisco for what appears to be low-lying scraps, was suited for his first game in a San Francisco Giants uniform. I also couldn't help but notice that Rafael Devers was the starting first baseman for the San Francisco Giants yesterday, which, as you know, was one of the many positions that he refused to play this season in Boston. But that's not the half of it. Last night, Devers went 2 for 5, including an RBI double in the 3rd inning. After the game, Devers was asked about being traded by the Red Sox, to which he said, quote, "That's in the past now. I'm looking ahead and focusing on what I have here being a San Francisco Giant." He then followed up that statement with a big fat swipe at the Red Sox by saying, quote, "I'm here to play wherever they want me to play." Dude, I could hear that hostility all the way from here. You see, that's the kind of anger-fueled, passive-aggressive, ego-driven bitterness that could have looked a whole lot better in a Red Sox uniform, if only it had been directed at somebody else. Instead, Rafael Devers took the time to suggest that, unlike his previous employer, he would be willing to do whatever they ask him to do. Because after all, he's a team player. Unfortunately, he's only a team player when he likes the team. Of course, none of that man-sized attitude resulted in the Giants winning the baseball game, since they lost to Cleveland by a score of 3-2, which is something that he could have done while still playing for the Red Sox. Instead, he's 2,700 miles away. But don't you worry, I'm sure he'll be sick of playing for those guys in no time, too. Look, I'm not happy about the Red Sox trading this guy, but I'm starting to think I'm finally starting to understand about why they did it. And it may have something to do with Rafael Devers being a jackass. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. Steel, the orange and white outdoor power workhorse. Famous for their chainsaws, Steels also makes pruners and blowers and string trimmers and more. Mark at the South Hadley Rocky sells and services them all. He's a steel-trained technician, and you'll find one of those guys at every Rocky's Ace Hardware location. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102. Spring.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock at 7:12, and Pat Benatar with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's going to be rainy today with a high of 76. Tomorrow, more rain with a high of 89. It is 65 right now in downtown Springfield.
Marty Caproni is in the studio with us. He's a local comedic legend. Who
Never
is,
heard of the guy.
This guy right over here.
Yeah, right, that guy right there.
There he is.
Yeah,
How
apparently
about that?
there's a comedy show tomorrow night for $20 and a dinner.
Yeah, best deal in town.
At the
Steve.
Shortstop Bar and Grill in Westfield.
Looking forward to seeing everybody. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah, it's I call it the Hanush Row because he's
The
got
whole
all those
block?
the whole block.
Yeah.
From beyond the Walmart down to the end of the street.
He's like a little Donald Trump there up in Westfield. You know,
He is like a little
Not so sure he wants to hear that.
he's a good guy. He's
Yeah.
the best. I like Nabil.
But so that and Lee Syatt's going to be closing out the show tomorrow night.
Yep.
Who's on the Joey D.
Joey Diaz.
Joey
Yeah,
Diaz.
the
Joey
check-in
Diaz.
podcast with Joey Diaz. Yeah, so that'll be good. People might have seen Lee also open for Josh Wolf. He was Josh Wolf's touring opener, and I think he still does tour with Josh here and there. So it's gonna be a good time. We might even have. I'm gonna talk to one of my buddies. So we might have another comic or two stop by. So we'll
All
see.
right. Well, have nice. It was always a surprise going on at the shortstop.
We always got something, you know.
We were talking off the air about videos, and these videos. Bax and I were talking earlier about these local videos that I've been doing about the towns and mispronouncing the names, and clearly, it's a joke. Clearly, people who listen to this show know it's a joke, but there are people out there who have these knee-jerk reactions, and very, very passionate about it too. When I pronounced the word Appalachian wrong, I said Appalachian, and I made up this stupid fact about how Johnny Appleseed and Chia Pets and all this other stuff. It's clearly fake. But people don't watch the entire video throughout the whole thing, and they just react immediately to that.
Well, this is the problem as a culture. No one has an attention span for anything longer. It used to be.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Exactly. And it used to be,
Who are you?
Yeah. Marty Caproni. Hey, it's a shortstop show, $20 dinner at a comedy show tomorrow. But yeah, no, it was. Now 30 seconds for a TikTok's like, I don't got 30 seconds. I got to scroll to more of these videos. So, they but that
you're not wrong about that, because I was scrolling yesterday and there was some video, I don't even remember what the hell it was, but it was like 10 minutes long, and like 2 minutes into it, I'm going, I don't got all day here.
Yeah.
How long do I have to sit through this?
It's a true thing. Like even comedy shows, like when I started, you remember back then? Yeah. Most comedy shows are around 2 hours back then. Hour 45, 2 hours. Now they're all between an hour and 15, an hour and a half, because the attention span that people have just wanes.
I took my kids to this comedian that they follow on YouTube.
That's a mistake.
Well,
man, not kidding.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, but his name is Curtis Connor.
Okay,
and I don't think he's that funny, but he is very popular because he has this online presence. He sold out the Wang Theater 3 nights in a row.
That's incredible.
And his portion of the show was 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And the entire thing was over in less than an hour and a half. Like, it was about an hour and a half worth of he had a couple of openers, I think, and then the whole show was done in about an hour and a half.
Well, that's what they do now. So, like the most popular live podcast on YouTube right now is a podcast called Kill Tony. Mm-hmm. It is they pull names out of a bucket. It's basically like an open mic. They pull a name out of the bucket. You go up on stage there, and you got 60 seconds. So imagine 60 seconds when you're normally doing a set is
nothing.
It's nothing. But you had 60 seconds to get through your jokes, and then after that, it's done. Well, what happens is when someone's really good and seasoned and they do great with their 1 minute, now they've had 6-7 million people see them do that one set, you know?
They want more.
And then they want more. But they can sell tickets, right? Because everyone's watching. So then they get on the phone with an agent or a manager, and the next thing you know, they're touring comedy clubs. And what happens, not all of them, because some of them are good comic. My buddy Joe Bagley from Connecticut, he's down in Austin now. He's become like a pretty seasoned guy, you know, and he did it a couple of times, you know. But what happens is some of these other ones, they're not even really doing comedy. They're like brand new to it or whatever. But they catch lightning in a bottle, and now they're like, well, you got to go do an hour at a comedy club. So that's when all of us will get a call and they'll be like, look, you're hosting the show, but do a half hour, you know, because they know they got to make it to 90 minutes. Yeah. Right.
Well,
right.
It's funny because, you know, if you look at how some comedy clubs are promoting their shows, they're, you know, because it used to be on HBO, Tonight Show, David Letterman. Now it's like 200,000 Instagram followers, TikTok sensation. It's like, okay, that's fine, but you're right. I mean, any comic can put together 60 good seconds.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's like 3 jokes if you write a halfway decent joke.
Well, you talk about the comedy clubs and having worked with you down at Comics.
Yep.
You know, they have it down where it's like 75 minutes is the full length of the show.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, typically it was always an hour and a half at least for that. But they have the timer up on there. Obviously, the first show is because you got to get people out and get people back
Turn the
in
room
for a
over,
second show. But even on the second show, there's like, listen, we're not going over 90 minutes on this whole thing because we're out of time, and people don't have the attention span anymore.
That's the challenge. That's why when people are always like, why haven't you recorded an album? Why haven't you recorded a special? That's one of the challenges to it. You know, it takes years to get good enough that someone wants to hear you talk for 45 minutes, let alone an hour. You know what I mean? Or like if you look at a guy like Louis or Bill Burr, like an hour and 15, hour and 20. You know, that's a skill set that's hard to do. You have to structure your jokes in the right way. It's a whole thing, you know.
Or I saw that Tom Segura show a few weeks ago, that was I couldn't believe I mean, I guess I could believe it, but the lackluster performance on his part because of the fact that he had admitted that he had gone out and partied the night before, and here he is. Yeah, and there was a lot of people that said afterwards, like, man, that wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And I don't know. I mean, doing shows myself, obviously I have off nights. You go and you're like, oh, man, I didn't really like that set kind of thing. But I'm also not,
I'm surprised
doing nose beers at 6 o'clock in the morning either. Yeah.
I'm surprised there wasn't a bunch of people in Western Mass holding plastic plates like, is the buffet out yet? And he's like, no, there's no buffet. Why is everyone asking about a buffet?
Right.
It's a $100 ticket. There's got to be something to eat.
Right.
No, but Tom's a really good comic. Like, I remember watching Tom at the Funny Bone back when he was like in the roster at Funny Bone.
Right.
He's a very good comic, but you do, Tom obviously had all these other projects going. He's got an awesome series on Netflix, everything else. So the more thin you get spread out, the less often you're on stage, the rustier you get.
Yeah.
Probably a bad advertisement for tomorrow, but I haven't been getting on stage as much as I need.
Oh, man.
So
that's why we have Lee Syatt closing out the
show. There you go. There you go. But it does. It takes time to get your chops.
People don't really understand that it is very much like training as an athlete.
Yeah.
If you're not playing every day, you atrophy a little bit. I mean, it's hard to imagine that's the case because it's your mind working, but it really is true. If you're not doing it all the time, you don't develop, and if you stop doing it because you got a TV deal, and then you have to go back to it, it's really, really hard to pick up where you left off.
And there are, like one of my buddies writes for a very, very well-known comic right now, and he's a super funny comic in his own right, but he was like a showrunner and everything out in L.A. He's like Emmy-nominated, all this stuff, and the woman he writes for, who's super famous, she's amazing. She could write, but she's spread thin with so many projects right now that the amount of time that it would take to do that, she's not going to have that time. Right. So that's where he plugs in.
Well, back to the knee-jerk reaction thing. People are getting really upset at the fact that they're not getting upset at the fact that I'm having a wrong fact about their town.
Nobody's
having an issue with that. They're upset about the way I pronounce it.
Well, listen, my cousin Brian hiked the entire Appalachia Trail from Georgia to Maine.
Yeah.
Very big accomplishment.
That's impressive. I always, when I was younger, I wanted to do that. And then now I'll do the 0.2 miles it is from Route 20 to the Mass Pike Bridge.
He did it, and I remember when he did it, he said like less than 1% of the people that start out finish or whatever. And it was like really well planned because you have to have people sending you your food packages and your care packages and your restock supplies and new boots and all that. And one will be at like some post office in Tennessee, or one will be at some post office in wherever. And you have to time those deliveries with your hiking, which is,
I don't have that. I can't even get here on time every morning.
right.
I think
Well, listen, you live in Huntington. It's like that just going to your mailbox for crying out loud. I've been in your
it's
house.
like hiking the Appalachian Trail every day.
every day you go somewhere.
Absolutely.
It's weird. There's a woman on TikTok who's from Appalachia.
Yeah.
And like her whole deal is and she's got like a really thick,
Ball to draw when I talk about this.
real thick drawl. But
Yeah.
the funny part about it is like what she'll do is the whole bit is how she mispronounces words because she's from the Appalachians, the Appalachian Mountains. And like one of the things is like people have been writing in for things for her to say just to hear the.
That's hilarious.
And one of them is, "Can I pet your dog?" But the when she says it is, "Can I pet your dog?" And it's like it's so stupid.
But that's what gets people engaged.
But there's
for
like
some reason.
she's done like 75 of videos of her saying, "Can I pet your dog?" And it's hilarious.
The thing about Chicopee, I did the one about Chicopee the other day, and somebody was all upset that I was not giving proper recognition to the Native American tribes that actually founded, or actually the name derived from the Native Americans who lived there.
The best part about that is all of us that live in Chicopee get really offended, but most of us probably read at a 5th grade level. So
Did he say something about, what did he say?
we all know it's from the Indian word meaning raging waters.
Nipmuc is kind of a funny word when you think about it. When
Yeah.
you're trying to skip that all out.
Just kind of rolls off the tongue like that,
It
doesn't
sure
it?
does.
But yeah, somebody and the one woman said she was going to call here. I wish we could air those phone calls
Just
because we can't. But if she was going to call and complain to the boss, I don't think she actually called, but she was threatening to call, and I didn't say anything insulting about the natives at all. Like,
Yeah,
There
it
was
was
anything
nothing
about the natives.
yeah.
don't make me put on my war paint right now.
If I,
But Chicopee, Native American town full of Polish people and Portuguese people. No, I will say this a
The
lot.
people with the red fez are indignant.
I love the red fez. It's a great New York strip steak.
are they indigenous?
Indigenous.
Indigenous.
I thought they were indigenous.
They're indigenous and indignant at the same time.
Indignantly indigenous.
Indignantly indigenous.
It's 7:25 with Bax and Nagle and Marty Caproni on Rock 102. It's 7:28 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Liam Neeson has the full forecast for you, and he will tell you.
You see the new trailer, the Naked Gun trailer with Liam Neeson?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, he's going to be in the new Naked Gun. He's the next Drebin.
He's Frank Drebin
that's
Jr.
So great.
And I thought that trailer was pretty damn funny because they're all like idolizing their fathers on portraits. It's like
Yeah.
So he's idolizing Leslie Nielsen, and then I don't know who the other actors
Steve
are.
Gutenberg?
No.
No, he wasn't Naked Gun. I'm sorry.
And then George Kennedy was
Yep.
the and he's like, I'll make you proud, Dad. And then all of a sudden they show OJ's kid, and he's like,
That's great.
Well, yeah, the funny part about it is like some people say, well, he's too serious of an actor to play, to be in Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Leslie Nielsen was a dramatic actor before like Police Squad.
Shirley must be kidding.
I'm not kidding, and stop calling me Shirley. But he was like the captain on the Poseidon Adventure, if you remember that.
Yeah. I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, no, he was a serious dramatic
That's
actor.
so fun. Well, I heard too, now that we're kind of in this 80s nostalgia where good movies are being remade, Spaceballs is coming out with a sequel finally. Mel Brooks has a Spaceballs 2 coming out.
he's 98 years old.
I'll tell you what, guy's still sharp.
It may be his last film, but he's brought Rick Moranis is coming out of retirement for
love
it,
it.
and Bill Pullman's coming back out.
Wasn't Leslie Nielsen in one of the movies they parodied in Airplane? Wasn't he in one of those older,
one of those great disaster films?
the ones that they were referencing throughout the movie? I don't know the names of the actual movies.
I'm trying to probably. I don't remember which one it was, and I'm not going to go back and look at the IMDb.
I had my daughter. I watched her. We were sitting there, and I was like, "We're gonna watch Airplane." It's one of the classic movies. There's so many references in that movie that you're just like, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this. Oh my God, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. It's just one joke after another joke. It's like unbelievable.
Great movie, one of my favorites.
Still, to this day, still holds up.
We got news coming up next to Rock 102.
Here's your Western Map.
7:34 with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102. It's time for news. It is brought to you by the law offices of Mark E. Salamone. Injured? Tell the insurance company you mean business. Call 1-800-WIN-WIN-1 right now. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Banks. 2 men from Springfield were in custody after Vermont police found narcotics inside a Burlington, Vermont home. Burlington police had been investigating narcotic sales in the area and were granted permission to search a home on White Street. Inside, 2 men from Springfield, 31-year-old Armando Robles and 32-year-old Orlando Herdera, were taken into custody after police found evidence of drug dealing. The 2 men were released on $10,000 bail each and must agree to have no contact with each other and to stay away from the Vermont residence. Stay out of Vermont. It's like stay out of the cat box.
Doesn't this describe like every home in Burlington?
Pretty much. No word on the next court date there. Chicopee. Residents of 1 Chicopee Street are concerned after their road hasn't been fixed and paved for decades. The roads are deplorable, and I enjoy going to get my tires changed because of blowouts on my front end. That's a little passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
Said Joan Ellen Benatti of Chicopee. Benatti has lived on Murphy Lane in Chicopee for decades and has owned her parents' home since 2000. As she and others in her neighborhood go about their days, there's something she and others have complained about for many years: bad road conditions. Repave. Please use my tax dollars appropriately. According to Benatti and other residents we've spoken with, this is Western Mass News, Murphy Lane has not had any work done since houses were built here in the 1960s. I didn't speak with any of the residents. I say we.
I object.
Yeah.
Because I grew up on Murphy Lane in Chicopee.
No kidding.
I did.
You ever get blown out on the front end?
Nope. Not
Really?
once. Not once.
Because if it happened to me, I don't know if I'd be complaining about it.
I've had a couple blowouts in the back end, but it's totally unrelated. Well, yeah, they are right. Murphy Lane hasn't been paved since probably the houses were put in the 60s. But, I mean, it's not.
Is it a dirt road?
I don't want to tick off my old neighborhood. I still know everyone that lives there. No, it's not a dirt road. It's fine. This is the problem that people don't realize, though. The city only gets so much money that they can budget for road repairs every year. So,
right, yeah.
And then they go to each alderman or city council and they go, you can do 2 roads this year. So you got to pick your 2 roads.
But we forget back in April, they had enough time to put Bible verses up on the road sign. Did you remember this story?
No.
This is from mid-April. An electronic street sign operated by the city of Chicopee posted a religious message on Monday. Now residents who are asking who authorized this message. A 22 News viewer sent pictures of the street sign with a Bible quote attached, posing the question of how religion plays a factor in local government. On the front corner of Front Street and Wheatland Avenue, an electronic sign that's normally used to warn of road hazards posted inspirational messages. One of them was a Bible verse from the book of John reading, "If God is all you have, then you have all you need." Forget about the filler for the potholes that are on the street. Can you imagine like God coming out there with a shovel and a hard hat and, all right, you know what? We're done for the day. Here's an inspirational message instead.
A lot of people don't realize, though, to be fair, that the manager at Town Fair Tire in Chicopee's name is Jesus. And
yeah, well, right.
That's all you need.
Yeah. We're giving Jesus business.
That's it.
Yeah.
But, of course, like in typical road construction, Jesus would be the one fixing the road. You get 12 guys around him drinking coffee.
No, wine. It was wine. He turned the water that he found from the broken water main underwater into wine.
And you got Judas saying, the only reason he got this job is because of who his dad is.
Yeah.
No, I listen. Chicopee does as good a job as they can do.
It's like, what a nepo baby in the hole right there.
I just thought it was kind of funny that they're doing the story about the roads not being fixed, but then I remembered the story from back in April. Like, I remember they were putting Jesus messages on the signs out there.
That couldn't have been approved by somebody.
It was. There was no accident. According to Chicopee Mayor John View, when asked about the message, he defended it, saying it's not about religion. There's no intention to offend anybody, and it says, "In God we trust" on our dollar bills. If you don't believe in God, that's not what it's about. It's about a feel-good message to have some feelings of belief. It's to make you forget that there are massive potholes in the middle of the street.
I was like, well,
I'm pretty sure you use the Lord's name in vain when you bottom your car out.
Jeez.
I was like, well, he makes some good points as far as that goes, but I do agree that maybe a more functional message, like "look out,"
watch out,
better.
Yeah, swerve to the left. It's like you're doing the Cupid shuffle in the middle of a Chicopee street. To the right, to the right, to the left, to the left. Now slide.
Here's the thing too, like you wonder about the projects that they do. They've been working. We got our own little big dig going on. We have a pond in Chicopee called Bemis Pond in Zop Park, and they're
Bemis.
Yeah, and they're turning it into like some kind of stream now or something.
Mm-hmm.
They've been working on it for like 2 years, and I'm thinking to myself, how much? Like we could just leave the pond. The pond wasn't hurting anybody. Just it was a crappy pond. No one needs it. But we do need to be able to drive down the street and not bottom our car out.
Yeah, but union rules require that the workplace be within 0.5 miles of a Dunks.
Oh, fair point. Fair point.
You can't have all
Says
that
so
work
right
being
here, the
done.
union rules.
Yeah, who's going to be the one to go get coffee? You're not going to have him drive 2 miles away to get all that.
I'm going to call the union steward and see if we can get this changed.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Bax. Right? I got to tell this story because you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a Dunkin' Donuts anywhere in Western Mass, right?
That's true.
I literally have 3 Dunkin' Donuts within a 2-minute ride of my house, right? So the other day, I'm helping Nagle on a DJ gig, and he hits me up and he goes, "Hey, can you swing by a Dunkin's on the way here?" The only gig in Western Mass that was in a black hole of no Dunkin'. I had to drive like an extra 3 miles out of my way to find him at Dunkin', and it was like 4:30 in the afternoon on a Friday, and I had to wait in line for a half hour for Nagle's iced coffee.
You could have just said forget about it.
No, I wouldn't have done that for you.
Yeah, we could have went to Cumberland Farms and done it ourselves.
Like
heathens.
Years ago, I'm doing one of these cross-country road trips with my family.
Okay.
And, I grew up in New England. A good bulk of my life. Like you said, you can't go anywhere without stumbling across a Dunkin', like within, a good quarter mile of any which direction. Driving through the state of Ohio.
Oh, good luck.
And the closest Dunkin' was 35 miles away.
The horror.
It was a nightmare.
They're everywhere
a
now.
nightmare.
Yeah.
I know, but back then it was like
you couldn't
this
find
vacuum of not being able to find reliable coffee anywhere in Ohio. I'll never go back there again.
I remember when I used to work for Coca-Cola. This company came called Dietrich Coffee. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
They're normally west of the Mississippi, but they decided to open a test location in Avon, Connecticut. Avon, Simsbury on the line there. And the executives all came in and they were talking to me and they were like, "So what do you think?" And I remember thinking to myself, "You're going to be here like a week. You're going to be out of business in a week." And the guy's like, "Is the coffee better than Dunkin'?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "How about the food?" "Yep." "So what do you think?" And I was like, I don't think this is a wise move.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you guys.
You can't peel a New Englander away from a Dunkin'.
No, not even Starbucks. Look at Starbucks tries their best, but I go once in a while for the Pup Cup.
Oh, for the dog. So
my dog knows what a Pup Cup is now. If I say Pup Cup, he's just like, "All right, we're gonna go get a Pup Cup."
It's a cup of whipped cream for the dog.
That's it.
Why don't you just stop and get a can of whipped cream?
It wasn't like I would think it'd be like a cold espresso for the dog.
Yeah, that would probably even worse than the whipped cream on my dog's stomach.
Is the dog like pretentious and is like, this isn't the cold foam I ordered?
He's a rescue dog from Texas. He's just thrilled we don't beat him. So,
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah. I worked for Coca-Cola once.
Did you?
I got fired from Coca-Cola.
Well, it was a tough place to work.
Well, because I didn't fill the. I was the guy.
You were merchandising.
I was the part-time guy who would go into all the stores and then stock the shelves. And then I was told that union guys could only touch those front coolers. It was like one of these weird things that they had. So on a Christmas Eve weekend, I didn't stock the front cooler at the Walmart in Westfield. And this a-hole manager, when I came back to the store after doing all the other stores, because it was, the Coke's flying off the shelves at around the holidays, I come back to the store. The cooler is out in the front of the store on the sidewalk, empty.
Unplugged?
And then the guy is like shaming me. Well, that's what happens when you don't stock the Coke cooler.
The Walmart manager?
Yeah, the Walmart manager.
Wow.
You probably worked for my cousin. Because he was the guy in the area here, my cousin Bob.
I worked for Keith. Remember Keith?
Yes.
Keith.
Yep,
Keith
I
was
remember.
the guy. He was from Chicopee, too.
Yeah. He's a Chicopee.
Yeah, look at this. It's
Everything comes full circle around here.
This is Marty. This is the guy that will show up at a random interview at the Mayflower Marathon, and as this woman is talking, who's the representative for the Red Sox, he goes, "Hey, did you have a house party on Sumner Avenue back in 1992?"
Did you see her face?
Yeah, she was like, "Oh my God, yeah."
Marty, is that you?
Yeah. Sarah Keeney. She was a nice gal. What's the deal with her?
Well, there you go.
Anywho,
your Pioneer Valley. I'm glad we got to all the news. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today: rainy with a high of 76. Tomorrow, rainy with a high of 89. Looking at 65 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh yeah.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 7:53. And Def Leppard with Bax and Nagle at Rock 102. We're not sharing any of that with you.
Share any of that.
No, we're not.
Show between the show.
Hey,
we don't need to be canceled.
Right. Hey, this week on Baxy's Musical Podcast, my guest is Brian Small from the LA-based band, the Hangman. Great story about this band, and a really, really good band, too. That episode is available right now on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, and on rock102.com. It's all brought to you by Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Rabbit Chicopee and Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
What's your favorite $20 dinner in a comedy show? Marty Caproni's in the studio with us.
No pregnant chicks this show, Steve. Sorry.
No, I got a buddy.
I got a buddy.
Yeah,
So no, we're not sharing. Again, all the best conversations happen off the air, and they're limited time, of course.
Yeah. But you can hear some of them tomorrow night for $20 in advance, $25 at the door for dinner and a comedy show. We're sometimes a little inappropriate, right, Steve? I think
a little inappropriate.
A little.
Yeah.
See how tomorrow goes.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be just fine.
Well, I'm hoping they get a Karen Reed verdict sometime within the next 24 hours because I'd really like to complete a bit that I was working on.
You're heavily in the camp that she is guilty, correct?
Yes, only because I've actually seen that hard evidence. Now, that doesn't necessarily. That's not. It means. Here's what it's meaning for her. It's going to be a hung jury. And the reason why it's going to be a hung jury is because of all of this conspiracy stuff.
Sure.
And again, we were talking about videos about how people don't watch an entire clip of thing, or they only see a short clip of something that is tailored to feed your belief that there is something nefarious going on. I do believe that every person involved in that case is a piece of crap.
Okay.
Including the investigators who botched the investigation early on with the blood they put blood in Solo cups with snow and and the investigator writing all those text messages. They'll bring that up in court when you are investigating.
Yeah, because it looks weird, right?
Right. And there was a YouTube video I was watching listening to this morning about the young jury, and because of a young jury, you have this whole generation that has been brought up.
Conspiracy.
They want to see video. They want to see the actual act happen, and even then, it's this true crime mentality that because of all these true crime shows, it's always going to be well, what if this? What if that? When you're not really focusing on what the actual hard evidence is. And it kind of points to the fact that, she might have hit him.
Look, I'll be honest. Have you watched a lot of it, Bax, or not?
Well, a little bit here and there. I believe it or not, I have a life to lead.
So I haven't watched. I've watched probably 10 minutes of it, right? But I always hear about it from Steve. So Steve kept saying his big point was the dog's up in New Hampshire. If you really think the dog bit him, send someone up to take a dental impression of the dog. That's all I know. So every time someone brings it up,
because you're more concerned about the dog.
This is my confession.
But
no. Every time someone brings it up, I don't know anything about the case. So I go, well, then there's the dog, and they go, yeah, and I go. But if they know where the dog is, they can just get a dental impression.
Because the way the information was designed and put out there is like, the dog is gone. They got rid of the dog. The dog is in Vermont or New Hampshire. It's right over the state line. It's not like they couldn't go get the dog and match if they want to do the mold on the teeth or whatever they had to do in order to prove, and the same DNA being on his arm. If that was the case, then go get the dog. Why didn't you do that?
It's not like the dog went to Belize or some non-extraditing country and started a new life.
No dog extradition from New Hampshire.
The dog's in Grand Cayman now. It's running a small bar on a beach. It's great.
The thing that really did it for me was the fact that because everything is recorded, electronic data. She has the Lexus. It's got all the features on it.
Okay.
And her car backs up at 70-something% thing, and his phone almost within that time frame
does it have a rear camera?
Huh?
It doesn't know the Lexus has a rear camera, right?
Yeah,
sure.
But that's not. It doesn't record.
Yeah, but why don't they just make them record from now on for like 30?
Well, that would just be too invasive.
Yeah, that's too
Marty.
much.
I don't know. That's just too invasive.
I love the people that well, she changed her story. Well, I don't know if you've ever been drunk before, but I've told stories when I was drunk that have changed multiple times just to fill the spaces in between the blackout.
I mean, then you got to draw the line, too, and you got to say, well, geez, what's the chances that 10 cops that are around at a house party are going to have a little too much to drink?
I think
I've never heard
somewhere between 90 and 95%.
But that's my point. I'm not like just it's all on her. Every single person involved in that thing is a piece of crap. I mean, that's how they treat their friends. When you look at it, I just don't believe that 50 people can be involved around here in some sort of conspiracy to cover everything up, all the way down to the EMTs and somebody would have broken by now and come forward and said, they're all lying.
Yeah. I look, the only other thing I saw, and it was glorious, was one of the cops on the stand, and he had all these dirty text messages about her.
The balloon knot? Yeah.
Knot. And I literally had to stop it and I don't know if it was you I messaged. I go, is this real or is this a skit? I thought it was like AI.
That was from the first trial.
I'm like, it's hilarious.
She's got a leaky balloon knot. She's got no ass and a leaky balloon knot.
I was like, this has to be AI. This can't be a real conversation that happened in court.
They're not going to dust for prints on that thing. It's 7:59 to Rock 102.
Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, your grilling destination. Weber, Big Green Egg, Uni Pizza Ovens, and Traeger wood-fired grills.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Well, folks, great news. Brad Marchand has just won his second Stanley Cup championship. First time 14 years ago with the Bruins. This time won it while he was playing for the very same team that bounced the Bruins out of the playoffs 2 years in a row. Not this season, of course. That would have required the Bruins to reach the postseason, which, of course, they did not, especially after trading Brad Marchand for a conditional draft pick and 50% of the remainder of his contract. And yet, what did Brad Marchand do for the Florida Panthers? Scored 10 goals and 10 assists in 23 games, including 6 goals he scored in 6 games in the finals, which included 2 game winners as the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup in Game 6 over Edmonton with a final score of 5-1. What did the Bruins do this week? I'll tell you what they did. Nothing. Nothing except wonder how the Red Sox could have traded away a monumental talent like Rafael Devers to San Francisco with very little in return. I'm sure the Bruins were as stunned by that news as everybody else. I mean, can you imagine trading away one of your most popular players to a better team and getting next to nearly nothing for it? I can't imagine how something like that can happen. And I'm sure Bruins general manager Don Sweeney couldn't imagine something that stupid either. But hey, why compare apples to oranges? I would much rather congratulate Brad Marchand for getting his name in the Stanley Cup not once but twice during his outstanding career. It's just a shame that it had to be with the Florida Panthers. You know, a well-run organization with an exceptionally talented and dedicated front office staff that's committed to winning championships in back-to-back seasons. A team that's willing to bolster its roster by completing lopsided trades with teams that are too stupid to know any better. Not that I'm naming names, but I'm pretty sure that most of you know who I'm talking about. And I'm pretty sure that it rhymes with the Boston Bruins. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. Get a DeWalt tungsten carbide tip circular saw blade, $20. Get a DeWalt black and gold high-speed steel pilot point drill bit set, $20. It's the Rocky's $20 drill bit and saw blade sale. Say that 20 times fast. DeWalt bits and blades, $20 at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:14 in Motley Crue with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Rain. All day today with a high of 77. Tomorrow, rainy with a high of 89. It's 65 right now in downtown Springfield.
Comedian Marty Caproni is in the studio. There's a big dinner and a comedy show apparently tomorrow night in Westfield. I'm not really aware of the details.
Yeah, you probably heard about it. Steve has me coming in, and I'm excited. And now that there's rain forecast, there's even normally you'd say maybe someone wants to grill after work or whatever, but why not just spend $20 and come out and laugh and have your meal cooked for you?
Even if the rain tapers off tomorrow,
yeah,
it's still going to be 89 degrees, which means it's going to be humid. Wouldn't you rather be in an air-conditioned room enjoying a nice beverage and a pasta dinner?
Staring at this lovely-looking lineup of...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Why would anyone want to be sweating at home when they can enjoy a perfectly temperature-controlled room?
I suppose I could reach out and see if I can import some mosquitoes just to let them go in the room, just so you could have that barbecue feeling.
Oh, you get that backyard barbecue feel.
That'll affect Yelp ratings. You don't want to do that.
When you're eating your chicken cacciatore.
Is that what's on the meal?
You know what? I didn't even get the what the meal is, but it's
always good.
It's always a pasta dish, and it's always got salad and bread with it. And listen, you can't beat you can't buy a meal anywhere for $20, let alone a comedy show to go along with it.
Well, we talked about our foray to Subway, and that cost me over $20 just to get you.
Yeah, and no comedy, nothing funny out of that.
Nothing even funny about it. No.
I want to talk about this story because we didn't get to it in the news. This guy from Longmeadow. You remember this guy who was on the planning board and he was harassing some of the people throughout town? We talked about it a few weeks ago. After he was recently accused of making racist remarks to Longmeadow residents and trespassing in their backyard, Walter Gunn resigned from his planning board position.
That's too bad.
Gunn notified the town select board of his immediate resignation on Tuesday, according to a Facebook post from Vineeth Hemavathi, the chair of the select board. The Republican could not immediately reach Gunn by phone on Tuesday evening. The resignation comes after months of tensions in the town. In March, residents Fabricio and Jill Ochoa filed a complaint with the town claiming Gunn entered their property unannounced in January while on a bike ride through the neighborhood. During the 24-minute interaction, which Ochoa recorded and the Republican reviewed, Gunn asked Ochoa if he even speaks English after they'd been talking for a minute. He also asked Ochoa if he was a resident in Longmeadow, the video shows. The planning board made an official statement denouncing Gunn's actions at a May 9th meeting. Later that month, the select board followed suit and called for his resignation. The encounter with Walter was both humiliating and disheartening, Ochoa said in a complaint. In comments after the May 9th planning board meeting, Gunn, a longtime member, said he was very apologetic with what transpired that night and can't explain why he acted that way he did on that January night. At a planning board meeting in early June, Gunn said he had no intention of resigning and insinuated that he may take legal action against the town. This is like multiple instances with this guy
No.
going into people's backyards as he's riding by on his bicycle.
I have a theory that people who take cycling really serious,
Yes.
something about the spandex that they wear, the restriction of it or whatever, causes them to snap way easier than regular old fat happy guys.
One of the comments on the Westfield video that I did the other day was, if you're a grown man, if you're in your mid-40s riding a child's BMX bike, you're probably from Westfield. And I was like, I've seen that before.
As soon as you said it, I pictured it.
Yeah.
I saw a guy on School Street on a GT Pro.
I saw a
doing
guy
tricks.
on what's the name? Oh yeah, the street where the shelter is. It's Free Street of all places, where the Good Samaritan Inn or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There was a guy riding down that street one time on a BMX bike with a boom box on the front.
Sure.
Like it was his stereo.
Boombox. Usually it's his kid. You know, so you got to get him to school.
Well, they have a little more innovation.
Well, the
there.
boombox came with the bike.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I mean, this guy finally resigned after all these complaints that he was having about him after months. I don't know what the deal was with the dude.
He felt like he was for a long time, though. Maybe he just took his job really serious, you know?
Well, there was no way to recall an election. They don't have that ability to do that in Longmeadow. And they wanted to do that, but they couldn't do it. But he finally resigned, and now he's no longer a problem.
I know for a fact, and I know a few people that live in Longmeadow, they don't like it when you walk around their property unannounced or uninvited.
Yeah,
Don't ask me how I know that, but I'm pretty sure almost 100% of every resident in Longmeadow would not appreciate that.
So, again, maybe the guy's heart was in the right place, but the spandex was too tight, the blood flow was restricted, and he just, you never know.
It's a lot of compression going on there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I totally get it.
You know, my underwear's a little tight right now. I'm getting a little moody, getting a little snippy.
Maybe you want to do something about that.
I can't. I keep getting emails about our. I literally said I don't know anything about the case, and now people are emailing me like, "The dog is dead, you dummy!" And I'm like, "I didn't know it was dead." Then you're like, "It's not dead."
We're referring to the Karen Reed thing. The dog is not dead. The dog was rehomed, and neither the prosecution nor the defense subpoenaed records to go get the dog. I mean, that would be the first thing I would do.
Yeah, well, that always made
to say,
sense.
hey, I got to prove that the fact that the dog's DNA is on this guy's arm.
The guy probably said, okay, the dog's not dead, but he's dead to me. All right, good enough. End of story.
I don't ever want to see that dog ever again.
That dog had an attitude.
Yeah.
You should have seen what it did to that guy's arm.
But I keep saying to people, like, I don't know anything about the case. I'm like, all I know is Officer Balloon Knot and the dog. That's the only thing I know.
But what I was trying to say earlier is about the people watching these videos that I'm doing the towns about. They're not taking the time to realize this guy's a comedian. This guy is just doing goofy videos. He doesn't mean what he's saying. I'm giving out fake facts about towns, and people are only watching about 12% of the video, and they're making a knee-jerk reaction to this. This is the same thing when you see these videos on TikTok about this trial. You're getting piecemealed information. You're not getting the full story of what's going on, and people do not take the time to go and look at the entire thing because we're not programmed that way anymore.
Yeah, because well, that's the thing. Imagine you're on the jury. That's got to be hellish because then you're sitting there for 8 hours a day trying to pay attention to all those facts and all the stuff.
Yeah, when you really want to play Candy Crush.
Yeah, can you just shorten this into a dance? Can you just can the prosecutor just shorten this into a dance and go up and do some form of the Macarena?
Yeah.
While explaining what happened.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's all these theories being thrown out, and it's like nobody's looking.
Well, I just like to point out I don't know anything, so just don't people stop yelling at me about this. I'm happy the dog's okay. That's in my head, even if the dog isn't. Because I love dogs so much, I've decided the dog is okay on a farm in Vermont.
Well, here's a little assignment for you, Marty. When they reschedule the retrial after this most recent hung jury,
it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Study along, follow along in the next trial, and I'm sure about a year and a half from now we'll have plenty to say.
Well, they did it with we said it yesterday. Cara Rentala got tried 4 times before they finally convicted her.
And they'll do that again here.
She spent just as much time battling that court case as the amount of sentence that she got. She got 10 to 12 years or something, 12 to 14 years. It was 10 years before they finally convicted her of that. It was a murder up in Belchertown.
That was Granby.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that one I remember. That one I remember. Something about the steps and they painted the basement or something.
I saw the town name on a TikTok video.
Right. So between those 4 trials and Karen Reed's soon-to-be 3, that's 7 trials that the taxpayer has paid for or will be paying for. But just try to let that sink into your brain for a little bit.
That's what we do.
But also, what about the poor people, right? Because if you don't have a lot of money to pay for a defense, right, now you got to get tried 4 times. That's 4 times the legal bills.
I believe she's getting pro boner work.
Oh, all right.
Giggity. Isn't that the way you say that?
Yeah, I don't believe that's the legal pronunciation.
Well, either way. And that's all I got to say about that.
It's 8:24 on Rock 102.
The Rock.
Day 27 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Liam Neeson has a forecast for you.
Steve Nagle throwing a big fat party, and we're all invited. It's this Saturday, June 21st, at Vanish Valley in Ludlow to celebrate the start of summer and to raise money for Rick's Place. Rick's Place offers a free support for grieving children, teens, and their families after the loss of a loved one, and we want to continue to help them do the great work they do. Live music from Jack and his guitar, loads of activities for the kids, even Boomer from the Thunderbirds. Will be there. Loads of prizes, food and beverages for sale from Vanish Valley. Also, the Mad Eats food truck and Malicious Ice Cream will be there. You can get your ticket at rock102.com for just $10.21, plus a small ticketing fee, and every penny goes directly to Rick's Place. It's Steve Nagle's summer kickoff party, June 21st, this Saturday, noon to 3 at Vanish Valley in Ludlow. Brought to you by Dave Miner Exterior Home Improvements, Aquapump, Aura Credit Union, and Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
We got some great prizes up for grabs, too, for that raffle. Did you see the Plinko board?
I did.
Did you play the Plinko board?
I didn't get a chance to play it, but it was displayed to me. It's pretty impressive, I gotta say.
Marty doesn't know we have a brand new Plinko board upstairs.
I love Plinko.
Yeah, well, this one plays the Price is Right theme song, and it has all the sounds that go along with it.
It lights up.
Can we play after the show?
And Dave Miner was nice enough to donate one of these for a raffle prize for the Rick's Place event.
That guy's the best.
Yeah, you can play Plinko in the privacy of your own home.
So I don't know if I'm the only one, but I used to, that when I was homesick from school, that was my favorite thing, to watch Price is Right, right? You get your ginger ale, your saltines, your chicken soup, sit down, watch Price is Right. My favorite 2 games were Plinko, and then the other one were the little mountain guys, like, He goes up the thing. That's what I used to watch.
I used to like the putt thing when they used to putt the ball.
I used to like watching Bob Barker, because if the girl was attractive, he was a total creep while they were doing the putt thing.
He was sexually harassing all of the women on that show.
Yeah.
All right, Barbara's looking nice in this little short mini skirt here today. Who wants to putt into her hole? I'm spayed and neutered.
Like your pet.
And at my age, what difference does it make?
Yeah, right.
It's 8:30. We got news next to Rock 102. Here. 8:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news. It's brought to you by Freedom Credit Union. Freedom is yours. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Well, thanks, Bax. Hang on, I gotta turn the air on in here. It's getting a little stuffy with these 3 sweaty dudes in this
no
box.
kidding.
3 sweaty dudes in a box. Got to cool it off a little bit, don't you? 4 suspects were arrested in connection with a drug distribution operation and the seizure of 11 illegal firearms. The Springfield Police Department states that over the past several months, detectives assigned to the FIU
Hey, watch your mouth.
have been investigating a drug distribution operation with 33-year-old Michael Pinkney of Springfield as the main target. A search warrant was applied for and granted to the detectives to the 2 apartments on the 0100 block of Fort Pleasant Avenue. On Friday around 1:15 p.m., detectives were conducting surveillance when they saw Pinkney go into an apartment. As the detectives and officers were about to execute the search warrants, they saw Pinkney leaving the apartment. So they saw him twice. That's 2 in the Pinckney, and 1 in the Clinkney. Shocker!
It is a shocker of a story. It really is.
As the detectives and officers were about to execute those search warrants, they saw Pinckney leaving. He was detained and arrested after 90 bags of heroin were found on him. Inside one of the apartments, officers detained 28-year-old Mercedes Wright of Northampton. Inside the second apartment, officers detained 26-year-old Stephanie Polera of Springfield and a 17-year-old juvenile. The name, booking, photo, and specific charges of the juvenile will not be released due to his age. As detectives were searching the apartments, 8 illegal firearms and 6 additional firearm magazines were found. Over $2,200 in cash, cocaine, a stun gun, and more than 260 bags of heroin and 70 loose rounds of ammunition were also found. Ride to be won here on The Price of What. We're going to play Pinckney Plinko.
I'll take 10 to 12 years in a federal prison, please.
Come on down, Mr. Pinckney from Springfield. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Out of all the 6 firearm magazines seized, one was a 50-round drum and the other was a 30-round rifle magazine, and 2 additional ones are capable of holding 15 rounds of ammunition, along with some ghost guns.
It would be kind of cool, like after he's convicted, he gets to spin the big wheel to find out how much time he has to serve in jail.
Yeah, if you get the closest you can get, to $1, you'll get reduced time on your thing.
That's the amount of fine you have to pay. Yeah.
Well, that's what they do. You know, it's a game. It's a big game within the Springfield bail system.
Did you pick that story just because the 2 the Pinckney, 1 of the Clinkney?
Well, see, I read it for the first time this morning at 6:30, and I came up with that joke. But that was a fresh joke.
That's a very brilliant joke to come up with at 6:30 in the morning.
I've told the story before, and I've actually done this one on stage. When I used to go to the Dunkin' Donuts in Westfield, every single morning there was this. It was the non-drive-through Dunkin' Donuts in the center of Westfield at the Mobil station that no longer it doesn't even exist anymore. But there was a kid in there, really cool kid. He was one of those kids with the big giant earlobe earrings and the metal hanging out of his nose.
You ever seen they take them out and it looks like they're melting?
Super nice guy, and you know me and my affection for Sweet and Low.
Yes,
the pink packet.
Right,
and I get my iced coffee as you got my order last week. 2 creams, 2 Sweet and Lows, and a shot of espresso to go into the thing. And we were getting the Dunkin' Donuts cards when we were doing the advertisements for them. And I walked in this guy. One day they just on the side of the cup it would say Sweet and Low or Equal or whatever.
Yeah.
And he would mark it on the cup with the Sharpie. Well, one day I go in there. They changed the entire system. They must have had a copyright issue or something or trademark issue with these companies. So now on the side of the Dunkin' cup, it would say pink or yellow or blue. And then he says to me the one day, he's like, it's 2 of the pink. And I go, yeah. And he goes, and 1 in the drink. So then we both started laughing our asses off. And every day from that day forward, I would say, I'll have the shocker, please. And he knew exactly what I needed. Yeah. See, this is how things flow.
Your Dunkin' order makes a lot more sense to me now.
It absolutely does. Let's see. Bay State lawmakers heard testimony on a range of domestic violence and sexual assault bills on Tuesday, including one to strengthen laws on upskirting, the act of taking photos or videos underneath someone's clothing without their knowledge or consent. Lawmakers have worked on upskirting legislation before. In just 48 hours in 2014, the State House passed a bill criminalizing upskirting. The bill, however, did not include provisions against upskirting in bathrooms, locker rooms, or private residences.
You mean where most upskirting happens?
Which you would think would be the place to do that.
All right, I don't got to move the camera in Steve's bathroom just yet. All right.
I'm always fascinated by the people who are turned on by that. The one who, you see there was a guy down in Ellington not too long ago who had a camera in a coffee shop. And
what?
Yeah, and any of these times with the voyeurism with the cameras, it's like in a Starbucks bathroom or in a what are you getting out of watching people do that. I mean,
I don't know why you're looking at me saying, "What are you getting out of it?"
Yeah,
like Steve and I were just saying, he seems like the
Very
type.
He seems like the
accusatory.
type of guy that would.
What are you getting out of that, Marty?
Yeah.
I to me that doesn't make. I don't know. I don't see. That's creepy. This is creepy behavior.
Just take a TikTok video of the Frappuccino machine being made. It's the same thing. And then you won't get charged with voyeurism.
Okay.
Years ago, I don't know how we got this. Some publisher sent us a book on fetishes.
Yeah.
And it listed all of them. Every possible fetish you can think of was in this book. And I'm just thumbing through it one day, and I'm just going, nope. Oh, that's nope. And it just you're kind of going through the whole thing. It's like, most fetishes, the real good ones, are things you would never even consider that people would be interested in.
There's Japanese game shows in Japan.
Yeah.
Are all weird things like that. They're like fetish-based game shows, a lot of them. Because I didn't know this, but my friend Yosh, who's lived in Japan, he's actually Korean, but he grew up in Japan. He was the one. There are game shows where there's people that are into like latex, where they get like suctioned in the latex or whatever, and there's like whole game shows where they suction people to a wall when they just breathe out of like a tube, and that's like the game show.
Yeah, Plinko seems so much easier.
Yeah,
Plinko seems a lot easier.
I still like the little that to me
that was a good game.
It was
I like
the best.
that one. Yeah.
If you put that guy in a thong, I could see myself getting a little hot and bothered over it.
Hot and bothered by the Swedish mountain man or whatever he was. Was he Swedish?
I'm still recovering from the fact that somebody sent in and asked you the question if I am the same Marty from the ED commercial that you guys run. So I am not. But who knows? Maybe I'll be there someday.
You could be. A tequila smoked turkey almost burned down an apartment building in Madison, Wisconsin on Sunday. That is the most Madison, Wisconsin story you could get.
Yeah.
Soaking something in alcohol.
Oh, see, I pictured a turkey that was actually smoking like a cigarette, and
that's also
had a bottle
Madison
of tequila and a blowtorch in the other claw.
No, that's the wild turkey. The person.
That's how they douse the flames,
right? The person cooking it had it marinated the whole turkey in tequila. It's a recipe you can find online with a Google search. It had only been in the oven for 8 minutes when they called 911 after the oven door blew open. Firefighters showed up. That must have been a lot of tequila.
Oh, they must. Yeah,
it's way better than a pop-up timer. I can tell you that.
The firefighters showed up and used the thermal camera to check the oven, then opened the door and blue flames shot out. There was so much booze in the bird that the vapors accumulated in the oven. They think they just weren't venting enough, and it became explosive when exposed to the oxygen. They ended up removing the entire oven from the person's apartment. Thankfully, it didn't start a big fire, so nobody was hurt, but still.
The dinner was ruined.
Yeah.
All that money you spend on tequila and a turkey?
And a turkey.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the combination of tequila taste and turkey? I can't think of anything more gross on it.
People do the stupidest things, and I'm getting into this like the smoking of the meats thing that I've been doing on the thing, but I am like a low level. Yeah, I've smoked plenty of meats before. See me after the shortstop show. $20 will get you more than just dinner. Yeah. But yeah, the idea that people are doing all this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
with the cooking, it's like,
too much.
I don't have time for that.
It's too much.
The guy with a brisket.
Yeah,
he had a brisket. He's like, well, you smoke it for 12 hours, and then you wrap it in butcher paper and put it on for another 16 hours. And I'm like, who's got that kind of time?
36 hours I watched this guy cook a brisket.
Yeah.
It was chopped down on TikTok in 45 seconds, and I didn't have the patience to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I have a hard enough time for 2.5 hours for chicken.
Yeah,
on the grill. I mean, because it's just the anticipation of waiting for it.
Listen, you're just eating something up in a microwave. It's like, what's taking so damn long?
Why? Yeah, why? But here's what I don't. Why would you? What part of you would think to combine the taste of tequila with any food? Tequila tastes. I mean, am I the only one that thinks it tastes disgusting?
Oh, tequila is gross.
It tastes unless it's a really high line tequila. Tequila always makes me go like that little throw up.
On its own, yes, but that's why you have a lime and the salt and
Yeah, but in your turkey sandwich, you want to be No.
Yeah, no, I'm all set.
No.
I have seen people with the deep frying a turkey, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where that became like the trend or whatever. And my buddy's buddy, he was doing it outside where it was safe. But it was too close to his garage. He melted all the siding off his garage.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I've done that probably a dozen times, doing the deep fried turkey.
You did the deep
but
fried?
you have to be really careful about it. The thing has to be completely thawed out. And you also have to shut the flame off on the propane when you're dipping it into
that's
the
why
thing,
he caught it
because
on
the
fire.
grease will go over the side, and that's what. It's not once it's in there. It's just bubbling normally like a regular
putting it in.
deep fryer. It's putting it in when the grease spills over the edge. That's what catches. That's a lot of times what catches fire.
Does it taste significantly better than a turkey?
It is good.
Absolutely
It
does.
does?
It's think about it, man. It's like it's like Kentucky Fried Chicken, but turkey. It's pretty damn good,
That does
especially
sound
with
good.
all the
my inner fat
marinades
guy.
and stuff that you put into
That
it.
sounds good.
Let's see here from a firefighter. We responded to a guy barbecue and chicken on a hibachi grill on a carpeted floor in his living room. You know what? That's from Greenfield, and I can totally see that happening.
That's right.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be rainy with a high of 77 tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds. Could see some rain showers. High of 89. It is 66 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:51 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Rainy today with a high of 77. It is 66 right now in downtown Springfield. We have, in the studio with us is Chantel Bernard. She is the founder of Shonda Care and also Shonda's House, and she's here in the studio with us to talk about this morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about what Shonda Care is and the Shonda House.
Yes. So Shonda Care is a home care agency. We take care of older adults in whatever they call home. And then Shonda's House is a nonprofit 501c3 organization to help people with end of life or hospice care.
So this is just to be clear on how this process. These are for people who don't have the resources to have hospice come to their home, or people who don't have family members. Is that what I'm understanding properly about it?
Yeah, so Shonda's House the first home, which will be in Wilbraham, that will be a 6-bed home-like environment to provide that end-of-life care for those that can't do it at home or don't want to be an institution or just really have no family and need that end-of-life dignified care.
You sent us some information a few days ago about what this is. This is a home that was purchased in April, and the idea here is that it's giving people a more warm environment than, say, like a antiseptic type of facility where it doesn't have that feel of home. It's a pretty interesting concept. I mean, has this been done anywhere else that you're aware of?
Absolutely. So Eastern Massachusetts, there's a lot of them. And then here we have Chicopee, we have Harmony House, and then we have Fisher Home.
That's the one I was thinking of, was the Harmony House. I know we did interview somebody from there a few years ago.
That's why I was asking, because I mean, but I still think it's an amazing idea for people who are in a terrible position at the end of their life, where to have some sort of some compassionate care towards the end of their life. I think it's really remarkable.
Thank you.
So as far as this particular home is concerned, I mean, is it being built and renovated for this specific purpose?
Yes. So we purchased the home, and the goal really for Shonda's House, the foundation, is to provide that end of life or hospice care in any home for those that can't afford it, because it's very costly when you need 24-hour care. And this home will be able to provide that as the beginning. And then we're hoping in 2 to 3 to 5 years that we'll be able to provide that care for those that can't afford it. And no matter what, it'll be for anyone that can afford it to those that can't.
And, one of the things, surprising things that I found out, having dealt with my wife passing away in our home, hospice isn't there 24 hours a day. I think that is a misconception that a lot of people have, I'm grateful enough that we had a very good friend of ours who was a former hospice nurse that did stay with us the entire time in her last days that she was alive. But for a lot of people, that's impossible to do. There are a lot of people who don't have that opportunity. And is that something that you see people deal with a lot, that they don't have enough care because there's just not enough people to go around?
That is absolutely correct. So by 2030, our baby boomers, they're already outnumbering us. But by 2030, there's going to be 1 of me to 7 people that need help. Right now, we're one of me to 5 people that need help. So yes, and that you're absolutely right. Hospice, they give the nursing, the spiritual support, but that 24/7 care, how to move someone, if you need to feed them, if you need to change them, all of that comes from Shonda Care, our home care agency, and what will be Shonda's house.
Excellent.
When you talk about the cost of hospice care, I mean, you're talking, in many cases, you're talking about people that have already spent tons of money just for regular hospital care. Never mind the point where you're talking about an end of life care. For many people, savings can be wiped out, assets can be evaporated. I mean, all these things are happening at the end of life. Period. Any comfort that can be given to a family is usually very much appreciated by family members and everything else. But I mean, it is expensive to have this kind of care. In a situation like this, I mean, how do you go ahead and organize something for Shonda Care?
Yeah, so organizing that end-of-life hospice care. So we work collaboratively with our hospice agencies. Like you, Steve, you had your hospice agency there. We work with them. And for those that can afford it, great. And then there's also opportunity from state-funded programs. There's scholarships that we really like to work hand-in-hand with our local ASAPs. They're Greater Springfield, Highland Valley, all of those agencies that can really help with that end of life. We can use long-term care insurance. So there are other options rather than draining all of your life savings, especially when there's another spouse that is living. So we organize it with the hospice agency, and then we just do what they financially can pay for. Shonda Care will give that care, but the house at the end of the day will be that 24-hour care.
When is the house expected to be open?
We are working on financing right now, so hoping to start renovating in end of September, October to start the renovation.
Okay, great. And if somebody wanted to get in contact with you and get more information, how would they go about doing it?
So they could contact us directly at intake@shondashouse.org. Right now, we don't have a direct number, but we do have people just call our business line for Shonda Care, which is 413-217-9861. They can contact me directly, Chantel at shondacare.org, just going right to any of the websites, shondacare.org or shondashouse.org.
Very good. Chantel Bernard from Shonda Care. Great to see you. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
It's 8:59 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 9:10, Queen with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. Wait, what'd I miss?
We can't.
We nuts.
Cannot.
It's too bad.
Another one of those off-the-air things.
boy.
We can't talk. By the way, it's going to be rainy today with a high of 77. It is 66 right now in downtown Springfield. Are you ready for some fun facts, Bax and Marty?
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it hits you in the nads. The backs of life.
The backs of
The
life.
backs of life.
All right.
Okay, number one.
Number one.
Brad Pitt has a younger brother named Doug, who's a goodwill ambassador for Tanzania. In 2011, he became the first American to climb Mount Kilimanjaro and descend by mountain bike. Doug didn't just summit the peak, he gave the mountain the old backdoor special on the way down. Most guys finish early and roll over, but Doug saddled up and rode it till the trail said mercy. Tanzania's still blushing. Number two.
Number two.
When Eggos were invented in 1953, they were called Froffles. People started calling them Eggos because they tasted like eggs, and within 2 years that stuck. Just like that one girl in high school whose nickname became Over Easy after a few study sessions in a janitor's closet. You think it's syrup, but that's just what the toaster gets when the toaster gets real personal. Number three. Violent Femmes broke up after their song Blister in the Sun was used in a Wendy's ad in 2007. They fought, sued each other, and broke up for good. Because nothing screams punk rock like selling your soul for a 4-for-4 meal deal. It's like watching your ex-wife strip to your wedding song. A little nostalgic, a little tragic, and you'll never eat spicy nuggets the same way again. Number four. Fruitopia was discontinued in the U.S. in 2003, but Coca-Cola still sells it in Canada. America tapped out, but Canada kept letting it drip. You know, the type you left on read, but still lets that sweet juice run up north when the lights are low and the fridge hums just right.
Oh, God.
I got a buddy.
Number
five. Zebras aren't white with black stripes. They're black with white stripes, which means technically every zebra is just one blackout away from a spontaneous striptease. Nature's little optical illusion, just like a barcode, but underneath it's unwrapped jungle thunder. And there you go. That's your fun fact.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it hits you in the nads. The backs of life.
The backs of life.
The backs of life. We're not all.
Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.